So just as a precautionary measure, I keep my mouth shut and visualize the incantation process from magic armor. It's a last resort measure, a spell used to produce an invisible layer of magical defense that protects your body from spells, physical attacks. The last thing I need is to be blindsided by something I wasn't expecting. Luckily, the spell doesn't give off any visual signs, unless you actually use the incantation out loud. The only question is, what kind of magic is this guy gonna bring to the table? I thought to myself, staring at him, just primping himself, like a gangly bird cleaning its feathers. So, Sylvester, I said aloud, any more etiquette to follow before we get down to it? I wouldn't want to be impolite when I'm kicking your ass, I said, smiling at him with a sly grin. This guy has no idea what he's getting himself into, I thought to myself. No, all the etiquette has been maintained. All there is left now is to simply do away with you. Quite frankly, I'm shocked that a barbarian such as yourself hasn't already tried to make the first strike. But if you're not inclined to, perhaps for fear of what might happen, allow me. Suddenly he rushed at me, picking up speed quickly. Damn, he's fast, I thought to myself as I saw him approaching. And then suddenly, he was gone. I completely lost sight of him, like he vanished. By the time my eyes caught up, he was already on me. He had sweeped in from the left, coming in when low. It was a kick. Damn, he's fast. I saw it coming. I tried to move, tried to snap my fingers to use Sanctum, but just as my fingers released the incantation and Sanctum started to forge itself, it was too late. The incomplete Sanctum was shattered. His kick went straight through it. It was too late. I couldn't move. It was too fast. I couldn't even mount any other kind of defense. The kick impacts my left arm, and as it does, I can hear it. My bones breaking. The kick sends my body hurtling through the air. I don't know how far. After a few moments, I finally start to reach the ground, but I'm just moving too fast. The ground tears into me like I'm being run across a cheese grater. My body begins to roll wildly as I roll away from the initial point of contact. I can't stop myself. Finally, my body stops rolling. Now, with the movement done, all I can feel is pain. Everything hurts, and nothing more than my left side. I try to pull myself up. It's like there are daggers filling my left side. My arm is completely shattered, spun off in the wrong direction. I can't even breathe. I start coughing. Blood pours out of my mouth as I do. And the pain was completely overwhelming. So much so that all I could seem to do was scream and grip my arm for all I could, trying to make the pain subside. After a few minutes, a few moments, I managed to force myself to stop yelling, clenching my jaw, digging my hand into the dirt, trying to force my legs to pull me to my feet. I still couldn't breathe. The copper taste of blood in my mouth was overwhelming. I couldn't taste anything else. How much damage? How much damage could he possibly do with a single kick? Even with my mage armor on, it barely put a dent in it. Oh, would you look at that? Sylvester said, standing there, looking at me from about 30 foot away. Wow, you're actually still alive. Well, color me surprised. It appears you must have taken some defensive measures. Magical armor would be my guess. One might say you were quite lucky to have thought about that ahead of time. More credit than I would have given you in terms of thought. But the truth of the matter is, that you only prolonged your own suffering. If you hadn't, this would all be over by now, and your pain would be over. But now you have to suffer all that agony. Oh, but don't worry. I shall end things quickly for you. After all, I'm not a monster. Your suffering holds no appeal to me, he said, still with a straight-faced expression. This guy, regardless of what he said, he never smiled or seemed happy about any of it, like it was all just a matter of business. He just sat there, straight-faced, as he talked about my oh-so-imminent demise, absolutely certain of himself. And with a kick like that, I could understand why. How in the hell can he hit like that? No, I don't have time to think about that. Finally, I managed to pull myself to my feet, my arm dangling like a loose piece of spaghetti. Well, that's not gonna do. I've taken far too much damage. A Regulus Nephitin, I said, snapping my fingers. A powerful glow came over my body, and I began to hear it, my bones snapping themselves back into place. It seemed the healing spell that I used was working. However, I didn't expect the bones going back to be just as painful as it was when they got snapped. I had heard stories about how much having bones broken hurt, but to be honest, they didn't do it justice. Oh, would you look at that? You know a healing spell as well? Well, you're already far more capable than most of the garbage that I've come across. I do have to give you credit for at least that much. I don't know how you got your hands on so many different spells, but kudos to you. But unfortunately, you're still only dragging this out. We both know how this is going to end. You should have figured that out already. Damn, I wasn't expecting to use that much magic this quickly, I thought to myself. It only just started and I've already burnt through half my magical supply. That healing spell is effective. It heals all injuries. But the downturn of it is, the more injured you are, the higher the magic costs to restore the damage. That one use burned nearly everything. I'm down to half, probably less. You know what? Sylvester said. I'm feeling sporting. So, just to be a gentleman, I'll let you try one spell. It won't really do you any good. It's merely for my own amusement, of course. And I doubt you'll be able to pull that little trick of yours again. So I figured I'd give you one last shot before the lights turn out. Go ahead. Any spell you want. You might as well cast at least one before this fight ends. Damn it, I thought to myself. What a cocky bastard. One spell, huh? You know, if he was dealing with anybody else, he might be right on the money. But he's about to learn a serious lesson about dealing with Reginald P. Worthington. After the healing spell finished taking its effect, I stood up tall, looked him in the eye. So, you're being so courteous as to allow me a free use of a spell, right? Well, I'd hate to disappoint you. So, here you are, Sylvester. I raised my hand. He doesn't realize it. He just gave me the opening I needed. Everything he did just became meaningless. I focused as much energy as I possibly could, holding back just enough to use my secret weapon. The energy glowed around my body. A brilliant red. Wisps of red energy ran from my body, rising like heat waves, beginning to coalesce around my fingers, and with a snap and the call of the incantation, sanctum. I burnt nearly all of it, almost all of the magical energy I had left, and summoned a massive barricade. A nearly 15-foot wide shield appeared in front of me, emanating red fire, surging with magical power. Sylvester looked at me with an expression of disgust. Pathetic. You're so terrified that you wasted all of your magical power summoning nothing but a big shield. So terrified of taking a hit that you wasted everything. You're a fool. I thought the last lesson I gave you would be the last one you'd get. But apparently the foolishness of trash knows no bounds. So I'll give you one last lesson. That spell that you used is not meant to be a permanent defense. It's true you can increase the amount of magic you place into it in order to create a stronger barrier. However, no matter how much energy you place into a barrier, eventually it can be broken. And when it is, all the energy that you expended on it is lost. And now, you have barely anything left. Even if you wanted to muster a spell, you probably couldn't. All to buy yourself a few moments to sit and watch, with not an option nor a hope left. What a fool. But if that is the end you have decided, so be it. And in an instant, he was on the shield, charging forward in a flash. He began delivering one after another impacts to the shield, punches, kicks. I could see him focusing the magical energy around his hands and feet. It's obvious he was using some sort of close combat magic. Not something I'm familiar with, but it's definitely strong. I could already see it wearing down on the shield, the energy that constructed it beginning to weaken. But that's just fine with me. Clockwork Combat Engine, I announced aloud. It's about time that the real fight started.